Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we'll be talking about the basics of farming. We're going to start off with this map's farming equipment. You have a harvester right here, and you start off with a pickup truck here, and a John Deere tractor with a, is that a plow or is that a cultivator? That is a cultivator. And you start off with a cultivator and a weight. You have a header trailer right here for the harvester's header, if you need to move it across the map. Then you have a trailer with a case tractor. Actually, it's a Massey Ferguson. My bad. It's not a case. It's a Massey. I honestly call it Massey Ferguson. I've heard people call it Massey. No, Massey Ferguson. I guess it just depends where you're from. Here we have another field with a deer and is that a seeder or a planter? That is a seeder. That is a seeder. The differences between a seeder and a planter: a seeder seeds like wheat, barley, oats, and a planter plants corn, and I honestly don't remember them all off the top of my head right now. I usually only plant what I usually farm is canola, wheat, oat, barley, or corn. I don't really do some of the other. Oh, sunflower. You'd plant a sunflower, but I don't really do sunflower. Now let's get started. The first thing you would probably do is harvest. When you first start the game, because they put the harvester right next to the farm, and it's the first thing you see. So it's probably the first thing you'd want to do. So now E gets you into the vehicle, and to hook up implements you press Q, I also forget that you might be playing using a controller on a console. Where those controls are, I do not know. The best way to find out what controls you need to press are under the options, under controls. Here you have keyboard controls. And you can see everything you need here for controls. Now, I'm assuming to get into a vehicle would probably be X. I don't know. I have a PlayStation 5 and a PlayStation 5 controller here. I just don't have the game on the PlayStation 5. I usually play on the PC, but anyway, once you're in the vehicle, you can look at the controls on the left, as you can see here. Those are the controls of the vehicle, and for me, to turn it on is a B, to hire a worker is H, for my pipe output is up, O. I'm having a bit of a speech impediment today. Unfold is X for me, and so on and so on. For you, if you're on a Xbox or a PlayStation 4, it will show what you need to press. But as far as basics of farming is, you have your harvesting, you lower, and then you first unfold your vehicle, then you lower the implement, you press B to turn it on, and you just go. Pretty simple. Now, I'm not going to do this whole field right now. I might do that in a second. The basics of farming really is, to start off, you plow a field, and then you would seed the field, and then you would harvest the field. Those are the three basic things that you would do to make money. You plow, you seed, you harvest. There's some more extra steps you can take to get a better harvest, such as fertilizing, herbiciding, um, picking up rocks, which can actually wear down your equipment. There's rolling, there's mulching. Um, there are various different steps you can do to increase your yield. Now, because we don't start off with a plow, we start off with a cultivator, and a cultivator is perfectly fine. You don't actually need to plow. You can in Farming Simulator, but you can just cultivate. Now, right here, if you can't tell, I have a weight and I have a cultivator equipped. And to lower the cultivator, I actually have to select it. For me, to be able to change to the next tool is G. It'll be different on a controller, but you should still be able to see it under the controls on the left side of the screen. Now, you'd have to select the proper tool, because if you don't, like right now, I just have the weight selected. I'm lowering the weight. Now that I selected the cultivator, I lowered it. Now, as you can tell, I'm cultivating this field. Now, in Farming Simulator 22, the only time you actually have to plow is if it says it needs plowing. Now, you don't actually have to plow when it says that, but it reduces your yields if you don't plow. Now, as you can tell, after cultivating, you see these small rocks. Now, you're supposed to use a rock picker to pick them up, but we currently don't have a rock picker, and I'll be discussing that a bit more in detail in another video. We're going to move on, and I'll show you the seeding. Now, this field has already been cultivated / plowed. Now, you only need to plow like once every 3 harvests. It'll tell you that it needs to be plowed. The way you can tell is you look at the field, and at the bottom right under field info, this one says needs lime. But if it says needs plowing, then you would need to plow the field to get a better yield. But you could just skip the plowing and move and cultivate instead. Now, once you've cultivated the field, like this field is right here, you just hop in your seeder and you start seeding. Now, when you start the game, this already comes with seeds, but if it doesn't have, if you need more seeds, you just go to the shop and you go under objects. You can either buy the big bag pallets, which right here seeds, or you can get the big bags. I believe the big bags are actually cheaper. They're a little bit harder to transport, because with this one, all you really need is a forklift. But with big bags, you need a different tool to hook them up. But it really doesn't matter, because you can drive the seeder to the shop and fill up. And then you seed. You can see at the bottom right, next to the speedometer, you can see it says we have that wheat symbol, and it shows you how much is in the tank. That's 600 liters. Now, it has wheat selected. That's a symbol for wheat, and you can also see that it says wheat on the left side of the screen, where it says select seed. For me if I press Z, I can select a different seed. Like right there's now barley, there's oat, there's canola, soybeans, sorghum, oilseed radish, grass, wheat, and well, it just comes back around. So for now, we're just going to start off with wheat. Again, you lower the seeder, and then you just press B to turn it on. And of course, I always forget to unfold it first. At least if you forget to unfold, it'll tell you that you need to unfold. So, apparently wheat cannot be planted in August. That's because a season is turned on. You go to your menu where you can see your map, and you go down to here, you'll see crop calendar. Orange is for harvesting and green is for planting. As you can see, we're in August, and the only thing that can be planted in August is canola, poplar, grass, and oilseed radish. So we're going to plant canola, which I sometimes call cannoli, just because I like saying funny names or funny words sometimes. And as you can see, we are now planting, or seeding, not planting. There is a difference. Now, once you've seeded this field, you wait till it's full, harvestable, and it'll look like this. Now, to fast forward, you can either speed up the time by pressing one of the buttons, which again I don't remember what it is on a controller, but on a keyboard it is 7 and 8. You can fast forward that way. As you can see in the top right corner, I'm speeding it up. Or you can go to your house you can select where you want to go to, what time, and you can just do that for a few days until it's harvestable time. 1 day equals 1 month with the default settings. With the default settings, it's 1 day per month. If you look down here for under seasons, you can select days per month for different, how many days per month you want to have. It's really up to you. Some people like to play with 28 days. Some people prefer to play with 1 day seasons. So that's honestly up to you. And once it's fully grown, it'll look like this field, and you harvest it using a harvester. Now, as a harvester gets full, which I'm going to fill up real quick. Now, for some, when you start out, the hardest part about harvesting, or not harvesting, but farming, is the controls, turning the vehicle around and even keeping the vehicle straight on the field. I'm honestly horrible at driving straight, but that's also probably due to me using a keyboard and not a steering wheel. Now, there is a mod that you can get called GPS, and you can set up GPS and you can go up and down the field in a more straight manner, which I'm not going to talk about in this video, but I will talk about in another video in the future. But as far as turning around goes, there are various different techniques to turn around depending on what you're driving. Now, as far as turning around this vehicle, you can just do what is it, the omega symbol? Kind of a turn. I'm doing it a pretty exaggerated, pretty big, but that is one way to turn. It really depends on, like I said, what equipment you have. Sometimes you'll have 2 or 3 implements that you're pulling, and turning those around, you'll need a pretty big arc, not an arc, but a circle, and that becomes a little bit more difficult depending on where you're harvesting. It's like right here, if you're trailing 2 or 3 implements behind you, you would need to do a pretty big turn, and if you did a big enough turn, you'll get stuck. So you would need a big enough headlands to be able to do the turn. There are some other ways to do these fields as well. which I don't know them all, but the way I'm doing this field is I'm just going up and down. There's some people actually kind of do a spiral shape around the field, which is also possible. Um, then there's I've also seen some other ways to turn, like right now I'm at the end here. Then you just back up and you turn like that. So, I mean, I didn't do it that great because I usually just do the turnaround as you know what I was doing earlier. I'm not proficient at this way of a turn. Now there are some other turns that I can show you here in a minute when I get some other implements hooked up. Now I am done with this field. It's harvested and I have wheat in my tank that needs to be offloaded. Now there's a few ways you can offload. If you played with multiplayer, one person can drive up to the combine and offload it while the combine is moving. You would just pull out your pipe and you'll just keep driving, and the other person will drive next to you. Or you could have a worker run the harvester while you run a tractor with a trailer. Or you can just stop the harvester, hop into a tractor, grab the trailer, and then just drive up to the harvester under the spout, and you make sure that I guess the motor has to stay on. Now you can keep your motors on. There is a setting um, right here under vehicle control where it has automatic engine start. You can turn that off and manually turn on and off the engine. So this could actually the engine could stay on, and then you can just drive up and offload while you know, and the engine's on. However, the engine's going to stay on, and if you don't turn it off manually, you could end up using fuel. Now, now that you have the grain offloaded, the next step would be to move it into a silo. So let's drive it to our silo, which is right here, and you offload it. Now there's to sell it, you would take your product, you would fill this up, and you would go to a sell point. Now this is wheat, so to to find a sell point, you go to your menu, you would go to right here to the prices. You can see wheat, which you now have 4,148 liters in storage, which is what we just put into the silo. And you can see here the prices. Now, if you wanted to see price fluctuations, you can kind of get an idea when is the best time to sell. The highest point would be in January, so the best time to sell wheat would be in January. And you would do that for all the different products that you harvest. Now, currently, if you wanted to sell the wheat because you need money, you would sell it to best place is Goldcrest Valley, which I believe is using the train. I'm going to talk about that in another video. But in this video, we're just going to talk about the basic sell points. Like, the next would be the grain mill. Okay, so if you want to sell it to the grain mill, you hit tag place. And now if you see here on the map, now that we've tagged it, it should be flashing. Okay, there it is. It's all the way up north, right there. And you would take it there, and you would just dump it into the grate that they have there, and it'll automatically buy it from you when you take it there. Now, as far as this field goes, when you start off, you can see that you have straw on the ground because this is wheat. Wheat, oats, barley produce straw, and to pick that up, you would need either a baler or a forage wagon. Now, they did not start us off with a baler, so we are going to buy a baler. Okay, let's look in this store, which on the keyboard is P, if I haven't already said that, and on the controller I do not know. I will be putting the controller diagram somewhere in this video, probably again right here, for both PlayStation and Xbox. That way you know the basic controls. Now, as far as the baler goes, you can find brand new balers under tools and balers. The cheapest one is 22,000, and you can also see forage. Forage wagon. Oh, here we go. Forage wagon, right next to balers. The cheapest one is 30,500. It really depends on if you want to use bales or if you want to use a forage wagon. If you used a forage wagon, it would just fill this up with straw, and then you would take it to your sell point and dump it, or you could bale it and put it on a trailer and move the bales to the sell point. That's really up to you. You can also fill up a forage wagon and dump, if you're picking up straw, not straw, sorry, if you're picking up hay, actually not hay either, if you're picking up chaff or grass, you could dump it into a bunker and turn it into silage. Now, we don't have a bunker on this map, but we do on the other map. I will talk about silage in another video, but for now, let's look at balers. Now, if you wanted to buy something low cost and cheap, you could look here in the used vehicle section. All of this stuff is used. Currently, there's a forage wagon up here. Actually, no, that's not a forage wagon. That's just a tipper. I apologize. That's just a tipper. I swear there's a forage wagon that looks like that. But anyway, so there's not one here. You just buy this baler, because we're going to talk about bales. Now, those bales make very small bales that you can pick up by hand. And as far as the forage wagon goes, see, there is kind of a forage wagon that does kind of look like that tipper. Doesn't that look like that in a way? It's easy to get confused. Now that we bought a baler, we need to grab a tractor and head to the shop. Now, to find the shop, you would look on the map, and you see this symbol right here? That's vehicle shop. You would go there to pick up your baler. Also, do not drive through your growing field with a tractor or vehicles, because there is crop destruction. You can turn that off if you like, but if you keep it on, be careful about driving through fields. Alrighty, now that we're at the shop, you can see the baler right there. It's a small baler, but if you're just starting out, a small baler is perfectly fine. There are other ways you can make money as well, like doing contracts, which I'll talk about in another video as well. Okay, now that we're back at our farm, X or whatever controller button it is to unfold, you unfold it, and B to turn it on, and Z to lower. And then you just start baling. Now, you're not going to get a lot of product with these small fields, but to start off, it's a good start. Now, as you can see, you have a bale that can be picked up by hand because these are light, and you have a pickup that you can use to transport it. You can just load up your pickup, and you even have straps that you can use to strap. The alternative way to strap is you hop into your vehicle and you hit L, or the controller equivalent, and if you don't know which it is for you, you can see again in the left menu right there. It'll tell you what you need to press to fasten the belts. Now, and then once this is all picked up, you cultivate, then you seed, and then you harvest, then you bale. And that's the basics of farming. There's more advanced, like as you can tell, this field needs a lime and has weeds that are growing. And then there's plowing, this plowing state that I talked about that happens every 3 harvests. There's picking up rocks, as you can see over here on this field. After we cultivated, there are rocks. Rock picking is very important because if the rocks get really, really big, they'll actually, do damage to your equipment. And if they're still really, really small, you can use a roller to pick them up, or a roller to punch them in, or you can use a stone picker to pick them up. So the more advanced stuff I will be talking about in the next video, but for now this is the basic start. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. So don't forget to like and subscribe, and have a nice day, and have fun farming.